I'm standing here on the campus of Catholic University next to the National Basilica of the Immaculate Conception, where it's a fairly quiet day. There's not a whole lot going on. But give it 1 week's time and this place will be a madhouse. Literally thousands of people, Catholics and non-Catholics alike, will gather here to catch a glimpse of the Pope and to celebrate Mass with him. And it brings up a very interesting question. Why? Why do people all around the world follow him like he's a celebrity? Is it his power? Is it his personality? Is it that they want to get a selfie with him? I mean, I know I do. All of those are great reasons, but for me, there's one that stands above the rest. It's not who Pope Francis is, it's who he represents, St. Peter. Of all the saints, Peter has got to be one of my favorites because he's so passionate and so faithful and yet so very flawed. He's just a foolish man. We think about what we see of him in Scripture. He correctly identifies Jesus as the Messiah. He follows him and gives up everything. And yet he's the only one for which Jesus has to say, "Get behind me, Satan." Ouch. He's the bravest one. He steps out onto the water to follow Jesus and yet loses faith right away, sinks to the bottom. He's the one that denies Jesus 3 times. And yet when he sees him on the shore, he can't control himself. He just has to jump out of the boat and swim to him. He can't wait. He's a faithful, foolish man. And yet this is the man that Jesus chooses to lead his church. We read in Matthew 16:18, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven." It is from this line that Catholics interpret this as the Pope, Jesus giving the church to a human being, with all the responsibility to shepherd the flocks and all of the authority to do so effectively. And it presents an interesting question to me. Of all the people in the world, why Peter? He's the foolish man. And yet, that's what I love about Peter. And that's why I love having a pope. Because Peter and his successors are so very flawed. They're so imperfect. And the reason that Jesus picks someone who's so imperfect is he's reminding his church, he's reminding his leaders of who is really in charge, Jesus. We love the Pope and we love our church not because they're perfect, but because Jesus chose them and acts through them. We live in a holy institution of a church, something that gives us the faith. And we remember that it always has been and always will be holy, not because of Peter, not because of Pope Francis, but because God works through him. That is a marvel. And that is what we love about the Pope. There's definitely a lot to like about Pope Francis. He's a man with great integrity. He lives the faith as much as he talks about it. He's a prophet in our world, challenging the church to be more like Christ. And who are we kidding? We like that he's an entertainer. We never quite know what he's going to do or say next. But above all this, above who Jorge Bergoglio is on his best and worst days, we love that he sits in the chair of Peter. For me, that's what's most important. That's what's so awe-inspiring about meeting a pope. Not who he is, but who he represents. St. Peter, the foolish man of Christ.